He's not the cop from your TV screen. He's the man who crawled out of his own hell, fists bloodied, faith cracked, and soul still swinging. Before the badge, there were demons. Before the cases, there was chaos. Now he hunts truth like it owes him something. The streets made him, the fight refined him, and redemption, he's still earning it one sunrise at a time. This isn't about blue lights. It's about the fire that never went out. Detective Matt Thornton, where grit meets redemption and every scar has a story. On this episode of Tactical Tequila Podcast with your host, Matt Wilson. If you enjoy the show, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it to your social media platforms. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show. Welcome back, everyone. Matt with Tactical Tequila, and tonight we have a great show planned for you. On the show, we have Detective Matt Thornton, and he's been punched by life harder than any other suspect could punch him. He's built from broken moments and midnight shifts. He doesn't chase headlines. He chases peace. Every scar, his knuckles tells a truth that the streets just tried to bury. He's proof that the rock bottom isn't the end. It's where men learn to reload. Detective Matt Thornton, the calm after the carnage, the storm that never quits. Matt, welcome to the show. I appreciate your time and thank you so much for being on the show.
And that's an awesome intro, man. I'm glad to be here. That's so cool, man. It's a pleasure.
Well, I'm glad you liked the intro.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. I knew right away when you contacted me. I was like, oh, he does good research and he's got his stuff together. I love it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I just want to really just dive into things, and I'm going to hit you with some rapid fire questions right off the bat.
I'm ready.
What hits harder, a punch to the face or a lie to your trust?
I lie to my trust. That's easy one. I've taken millions of punches to the face, but the one that breaks the bond and the trust, that's a tough one.
So what's louder, gunfire on the street, or would you say it's the silence after a bad call?
The silence, easily the silence. I can deal with you can deal with what's in front of you as far as the shots. I've been to so many and heard so many over the years. You get kind of used to it, but it's the mental part that slows down afterwards that's way louder.
What would you say saves more lives, instincts or empathy?
Empathy. I've learned that throughout my career, easily empathy.
And what would you say is scarier, your past demons or the ones that maybe you still carry?
Whew. My past demons are scarier because the ones I still carry, I understand how to navigate through it now. I know what sustains me, but the past ones were scarier because I didn't have any control, didn't know how to face them.
When everything falls apart, who shows up first? Faith, fight, or fury?
I'd say faith. Now, used to be fight, but now that I've come farther in my life, it's no doubt my faith.
So now, I mean, everybody, I would say, probably has their rock bottom. At some point in their life, depression, anxiety, a traumatic event that just kind of pushes us all down. You've talked about fighting demons and hitting rock bottom before the badge in your social media. What exact moment did you decide that you weren't going to let it go and die there, and that you were going to rebuild and rise above?
You want the whole story?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I'll tell you where I came from and what I went through. So I've been a cop for 21 years now. And I didn't know how to handle it at first. I didn't want to be a cop ever as growing up. I didn't like police. But I went into it because I thought it was it was different than the job that I had. So I was struggling as a 28-year-old. I was struggling with life. So I thought, you know what, there's a ad in the newspaper to become a cop. And I thought it'd be a cool job. So I got the job. Had no clue what I was getting into. I didn't know the thing that bothered me the most was the us versus them mentality that the police, when you're trained. I didn't realize it was that bad. I got in the job because I love people, and I legitimately want to serve. So when I got around a lot of the attitude, it rubbed me the wrong way, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I took up drinking. I took up all the bad habits that you could possibly have. And when you do that for a sustained amount of time, you got to put on this fake, phony, tough outer facade and be phony tough. Don't talk about what's really going through your head. You just keep it to yourself. That's when bad things happen. So several years into my career, I sunk into a deep depression that became pretty manic. I'm actually diagnosed bipolar 1, so that didn't help things. When you don't know what your diagnosis is, you just live and you deal with the consequences of your mental illness, even though you don't know you have it. So you put all that together. I became a pretty self-destructive guy. I wrecked my first marriage. I just chasing sin, being very, very self-destructive. I was always a good cop. I never violated anybody's rights. I was always good at my morals when it came to policing. They've never changed. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in serving the people and showing respect and love to everybody. But it was outside of the work that was my big issue. So when I was about 2013, it got to a point where I really didn't want to live anymore. And unaliving yourself is a huge deal in policing. And they never tell you that when you get the job. They never say that. I didn't learn till years and years into my career that we actually lose more people to suicide than we do to violence on the street, like by leaps and bounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I was done. I was at the end of my rope. I had caused enough damage on Earth. And I wrote a note. My mom got me an iPad. I never forget that I had an iPad, and I typed in, I'm computer stupid. I told you that earlier. I don't know anything about computers, but I figured out how to type on this iPad. So I typed a note. It was a suicide note. And I wrote out exactly who I wanted at my funeral. I wrote the songs that I wanted played. I want my mother to dress me in, and I didn't want one cop at my funeral. I blamed the profession for turning me into this abnormal guy. It was almost like it just totally shifted who I was. And I blame that. And I shouldn't have, but I did. So I'm going over this plan in my car one night. It was a winter night. And I'm parked in a parking lot, dead of winter. And up here in Illinois, the winters out by Lake Michigan are horrible. So it was January. And I'm sitting there going over this plan. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I knew who was going to find me. And I knew where I was going to leave this note. And it was going to be a wrap. So I'm sitting there going over this plan, replaying in my head. And when you're that manic, you cry every time you're alone. So I'm crying to myself in the squad. I'm just looking down, and I'm watching teardrops hit my leg. It was really just a surreal moment for me that will always be etched in my head. So I'm going over this plan, and I see this lady come out of the store, and there's nobody in this parking lot. I have no idea why she's out. It's like below zero. The wind is just gusting. So I look at her, and I could see she had long, straight hair, and her hair was sideways. That's how cold it was and how gusty it was. So I'm like, why is this lady out in this parking lot? So I watch her, and she goes to a car. And then all of a sudden, she does a beeline towards me. And I get instantly upset. Like, I don't want to be bothered right now. I'm going over this plan, what I'm going to do. And I'm crying, and I don't want no lady to see me cry. So I get mad. As she's walking over, I wipe away my tears, and I roll my window down just a couple inches. And she reaches her hand, doesn't say anything, reaches her hand in my squad and puts something in my left hand. And she said, "You need this." And then she turned around and walked away. And it was so bizarre. I looked down, and what she had handed me was a cross. And the chances of that just being a coincidence to me I knew that was God talking to me. And I broke down, like screamed out in my squad, like I'm here. I know this is you. God, do something. You got to save me. I know there's a God out there because this is what just happened. So I screamed out, and that was the moment that I decided to call my sister. In the middle of the night, I called her. I said, something just happened. I know you work at a church. I need to go talk to somebody. So that was actually the night I actually set up getting some actual help. I went in, I met with the pastor the next day. Still didn't tell him what happened. I didn't tell the story for like a year because I think people thought I was crazy. So I met with that pastor that night or that morning and gave my life to the Lord, and everything just shifted. That was when I said, I'm fighting back. I'm getting real help. I cannot blame this profession for my own outcomes and my transgressions. I have to man up. I have to solve what's in my head and then move forward. And that was not too many people can point to an exact moment, but that was my exact moment.
Now, you've taken hits inside the ring and outside the ring. Which would you say hurts more? Would it be the physical fight or the mental struggle that you go through?
Oh, the mental struggle easily. Fighting, I'm never going to claim to be the greatest fighter ever, but I was decent. I was a good boxer back in the day. I think boxing actually helped prolong my life back when I was manic. And I lived in that gym, and I took a million headshots. Probably have the repercussions to this day of that. But those beatings have nothing compared to the mental headshots that you take with your own life, struggling, and especially in the job.
You've said that you're not just a cop, but you're a man who had to earn peace. What did it cost you in order to find out?
It cost me a lot to go out on a limb and admit that I had a real problem. Um, there was, it was, I lost a lot of friends. I lost, a lot of people thought I was crazy. Um, and I started speaking out against some things that I seen that cops shouldn't be speaking out about. And so it temporarily lost me friends, but it gained me millions of followers and great friends.
Now, kind of a little personal question here. You often talk about your wife on social media being your queen, your backbone in the storm. How has her strength kept you from breaking when everything else tried to break you?
Trying to make me cry.
I'm not meaning to.
My wife is the strongest human being that I've ever met. Um, she's so understanding. She's so forgiving. Because I'm never going to claim that I'm flawless now. I still struggle a lot. I struggle with my mental health still, but I understand how to sustain through it. And there's not a more perfect partner on earth than my Queen T. She is an angel.
You've called yourself also a street cop trying to change the world's mind. What truth about policing do you wish people actually understood?
Let's see. The fact that we don't all think the same way. I think we get painted as let's see, the typical cop. You would think around here would be a right wing supporting gun guy that is us against them mentality, and I think we get painted a lot. But there's a lot of different dynamics within the walls of policing. I think that's People get judged. When I go and meet new people and they find out, oh, this is because you never get introduced as. When I was a forklift driver, nobody ever said this is Matt the forklift driver. So, but now everywhere you go, this is Matt the cop. So people think that you talk a certain way, that you act a certain way, that you have certain beliefs, but that's just not true. And that
You
goes for tons of cops.
and it's so interesting that you say that everywhere you go now everybody introduces you as Matt the cop. I saw this reel today on Instagram, and the guy said, I don't tell people when I go anywhere that I'm a cop or that I'm a sheriff's office employee. He's like, I tell him I'm a realtor. He's like, because I just can't have people asking me about the bad stuff that I've already put down and out of my
Mhm.
mind and relive that. How
Yeah.
does that work for you?
It's the fact that I'm really public now, it's a double-edged sword. It really is. Um, I can't get away from it. I police in the city that I grew up in. So it really is. It's tough. People will ask about specific famous cases that I've been involved in, and yeah, I feel the kind of like the same way. Is like I don't really want to talk about it that much, but at the same time, I understand where they're coming from. They just want to be a part of something and bond with you somehow. So I kind of take the bullet. I don't ever like to be a rude guy, so I'll entertain them, but it is bothersome.
As you mentioned cases, is there one case that still either you can't really let go or still keeps you up at night?
Yeah. Um, I mean, I've been a part, my city's very, very busy and violent. And I run a youth program in my city and I have a heart for young fatherless people. And it really breaks my heart when I see young people pass away. There's one particular case that I watched. It was over a fender bender. And I watched two brothers who were just coming home from work. Um, It was a road rage thing, and they got unloaded for no reason with 3 different guys out of the car, just jumped and started shooting them up, and, they did nothing to anybody besides get a fender bender, and so I watched, and it was the sad part was it was on video, and I watched the younger brother go down, and the older brother stayed with him. He's trying to carry him back to the car, and then you could tell the younger brother's gone. He collapses, and then the older brother's lays down on the ground with him and just holds him. Um, that's that was one of the most painful things I've ever had to witness,
I I can imagine.
and that was a tough one. That's one that sticks out.
Everyone sees you as Detective Thornton. What don't they see about Matt, the person behind the badge?
They don't see that I'm about as soft. I have a rough exterior, but I'm about as soft of a human being as you'll ever meet. I have 6 daughters, and they bully me and push me around, and they don't see that part of me. I mean, I stand in the face. I call out bad cops. I stand in the face of the fire. I have no problem with that stuff, but they don't see that I'm just a dude who loves his family, but likes to stand on his principles and speak his mind.
Now, and as you talk about calling out bad cops and standing on those principles, in a world that's so quick to judge every move, how do you hold on to your humanity when the job demands your armor?
I call my wife. She keeps me up. She keeps my head up. She keeps me level minded. I just had a deal with a situation last month, maybe a couple months ago, and I just had to call her. I just said, I need you to tell me something positive. And she doesn't sugarcoat it. She goes, "Don't you be the man that you are. You know you're good at this. You know you can do this, and go do it." So that's my number one weapon is her.
So, kind of sticking with the social media aspect, what led you to become the online persona in person that calls out bad cops?
I seen a lot of my mental struggles back in the day was because of the mentality of cops. I detest the us versus them. I didn't get this job to be part of some blue fraternity. I got this job because I love people and I just want to serve. So I got a lot of flack and when I first started just speaking out like in person to people. Guys didn't like me. Like this blue code is that you don't rub the cat fur the wrong way. You just it's groupthink, and you better not say you better have my back no matter what. And I was never with that mentality. So I remember I used to just make videos talking about any police stuff or mental health stuff. And I remember the first time that this was years ago, the first time that I ever talked about and openly admitted that there's a lot of bad police officers. And I got so much flack. I had people turn on me like how dare you? It's almost like speaking against somebody's religion. And I was like, well, I know I'm telling the truth, so I'm not backing down. There's a lot that needs to be fixed. We need to raise our standards in this job, and somebody needs to say it. But what I realized was that people from the public, this is what they wanted to hear. They wanted to finally hear somebody from the inside have the courage to call out this bad stuff instead of just this big wall of everyone pointing the fingers at each other. I found that the public loved it. It's what they wanted to hear. But I know that, but not, it wasn't just for that. But it's because I know it's true. I know, and who would know better than me, who's been in this box for 2 decades.
So you kind of touched on this earlier in the show that no one, when you signed up for the job, no one ever told you that there's more suicide than there is lives lost in the line of duty.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is the silent killer? Would it be suicide, you think?
Oh yeah, definitely. Mental illness, either suicide or just self-destructive behavior from mental illness. It's never the only thing they instill in you, and when you're at the academy and when you're training. This is back when I went. It was all officer safety, officer safety. Everyone else is the danger. When it should have been the very first day and the very first line of your application is trying is like, look, mental health kills more officers than anything. That's what you need to stay ahead of. Everything else is secondary.
When you're surrounded by trauma every day, how do you keep it from becoming your identity?
Whew, it's tough. It really is. You have to. What I do now is take care of the youth. I've decided I stopped all my old self-destructive habits and I pour into my nonprofits, and that's how I do. My family and my nonprofits is what really keeps me looking at the world in a more realistic way.
Now, what would you say is one mental health practice that you consistently use, not only to help you survive as a cop, but also as a human?
Number one, and first and foremost to me, is my relationship with God. And on the practical side, it is being healthy. I'm a health freak. I believe in if you're healthy physically, it's gonna it affects your mental health too. So I'm huge into my what everything I put into my body. I keep a close eye on. Except for the holidays, I have too many sweets. But for the most part, I try to be about as healthy physically as I possibly can.
What advice would you give officers who are drowning silently and more or less are too proud to say it out loud?
That it's okay. That but when darkness has power, but when you bring it into the light, it loses all its power. Talk about it. I encourage guys to just talk about it. Like I'm hurting just like you are. Let's talk about it and let's go arm in arm and we'll walk through this together. We're not made to go through this alone, especially in what we see.
Now, do you feel that it's changed more for the better over the recent years as opposed to the way it was before?
Oh,
Because
definitely.
the way it was before is you got to have that tough bravada
Hmm.
that, you know, I can't let anyone see me going through this. Would you say that the departments nationwide are getting better at mental health aspects for their officers?
Yes, it's out in the open now. It's talked about. The resources are there. When 20 years ago when I started, if you said that you were struggling or sad from a call, you were just pegged as weak. That was horrible the way that it was dealt with. I remember the first time I reached out for help. It was hush hush. It was you don't talk about this out loud. But now, I mean, there's classes, there's CIT training, there's all kinds of uh of resources that we have that it's way out there. So there's really you can't we I won't allow you to make the excuse of I just want to be to myself. We're going to talk about this, and there's different things that I hold that we can hold each other accountable because you can see the science. It's very, very studied and it's very, very consistent within the policing community.
Shifting gears into the social media aspect and mission, mindset, and redemption altogether. You've built a platform louder than the uniform. Why would why risk your vulnerability in a culture built on toughness?
Because I've learned that being vulnerable is actually the toughest thing that you can do. I see it as I flipped that. I learned that a long time ago from somebody way smarter than me. Being vulnerable is true courage.
What's one story from your past that you never really tell because it still feels too raw?
Let's see. I don't I don't talk too much about the damage that I caused my oldest two children from my mental struggles back in the day. That one stings, and that one hurts. They're grown now. My babies are. I always call them my babies. So they're 27 and 25. But I've never gotten over that. I've never forgiven myself. That's something I still have to do.
Do you think there'll ever be a point where you can forgive yourself?
Yeah, I'm working on that, and Queen T helps me all the time with that. That's one of our things.
You talk a lot about purpose. When did your purpose stop being about proving something and start being about the healing process?
I think it's still a mixture. I still have some things to heal from. Um, I think they're both running simultaneously. I think the healing is winning out, but I think they're still running simultaneously.
If you could erase one myth about cops, what would it be and why does it still exist, do you think?
Uh, one myth. Let me see. Like I said earlier, that we all think the same. I know I do my part in calling out bad police, but there is a lot of good police out there. I'd say the crowd is a mixture. I get so much support from people in blue. I wish they'd be more vocal about it and more public, but that's okay. It's I'll give it time. It's going to come, but there is a mixture. We don't all think the same.
Do you think that'll be in the next 5 years that you'll start seeing a lot more officers do what you do and start calling out the bad apples?
And chasing them out. Um, I would say I see a shift. I really do. Um, yeah, it's very simple that if I'd have done this 15 years ago, I'd have been gone. I'd have been chased out. I mean, I still get blackballed all the time to this day, but I'm still here and I'm still doing what I do. But I couldn't have done this 2 decades ago. So I do see a shift. But change, everyone wants instantaneous change, and so do I. But change is just one slow tick at a time, tick tick. And I think that certain people are having conversations that you never would imagine would have had them, and we're seeing more and more of that. So
And that's good because, honestly, while there are bad apples, cops just get such a bad rap. And I was military law enforcement and even a federal agent within the military. When I got out, one of my buddies, he's the chief of police in Ontario, Ohio, which I had on the show. And when I got out of the military, he's like, come on, just come be a cop, come back to Ohio and just be a cop at the department. Cause he was chief at the time.
Uh-huh.
And he's still the chief, but, I'm just like, man, I dealt with a lot in the military. I don't want to deal with the scrutiny that law enforcement deals with on a daily basis.
It's gotten worse too.
Yeah, and I have the utmost respect for cops. The love is still there. It's just that I couldn't find myself to do it once I got out of the military. And
Just wasn't in the cards, huh?
no, so I still do executive protection, which I did most of my military career.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so I do it on the corporate side now,
You can give me a job. I'm gonna
right?
reach out to you. Let's move
There
out
you
to
go.
Vegas. See?
There you go. Um, what is one thing that the badge gave you, and what is one thing that it stole from you?
The badge gave me uh, a newfound superpower. Um, in that you have the ability to affect somebody's life in a positive way, which is to me is there's no greater gift. Um, People don't forget you. People come up to me, you did this for me that you don't even remember. So that's what it gave to me, and that's to me that's one of the greatest blessings on earth. I think what it stole from me, I think it stole a lot of the way that I see the world because we see so much terror, the carnage that you see. You got to remind yourself that we only see a small part of it. That's what we're here for, to see it. But that's not how the whole world is. So I think it stole that. That's kind of what got stolen from me, is my perspective on the world.
I'd like to move into the family side of things. You proudly post about your one of your daughters, and what do you want? Well, even all of your kids, what do you want them to know about your scars, and which ones do you pray that they really never see?
I want them to know that they call me Poppy. I want them to know that Poppy is flawed, but Poppy apologizes, and Poppy makes mistakes, but Poppy gets back up. I want them to know that, to always admit that we're all human, and even if it's to your own kids, make sure you square it away and apologize when you're wrong. What was the second part of that question?
What do you pray that they never see?
I pray that they never see when I go to still get sucked into a dark place. It happens from time to time. I haven't mentioned too often that I had an adopted son as well. That he passed away in 2019.
I'm sorry to hear
That
that.
Yeah, thank you. So I often go in a dark place, mourning his. You never get over something like that. Um, it's tough. So I try to keep that away from them.
After the chaos of the job, how do you decompress um, the chaos, and but more or less walk into peace at home?
That 25-minute car ride from work to home is where I first and foremost listen to Metallica. I love their music. I James speaks a lot about his pain, and to me, it's an outlet for myself. I know I've been a fan of them since day one. So I do that. I pray a lot, and I try to breathe and tell myself that you're not at work anymore. You're going home to your babies.
When you're and you have some older kids, but when your younger kids are old enough to understand who Detective Thornton is, what do you want them to feel? Pride, pain, or both for you?
I want them to understand the pain that I endure, but I want to take that for them. But I want them to be just proud of who I am, um, my legacy.
And As you just mentioned, legacy. If you could sum up your legacy in one sentence, what would you sum it up as?
What I would want it to be is this was Matt Thornton, the most loving, respectful cop that ever walked the earth.
I love that. What would you say the most powerful thing that Queen T has ever said to you in your lowest moment?
She told me that I'm not a summation of my pain, that I'm actually a warrior for enduring and just keeping moving forward when I struggle. I struggle with certain times a year when it's Tyree's birthday and certain holidays I struggle, but she tells me that they're proud of you. Your kids are all proud of you, and so is Tyree.
That's that's I mean, you can't get anything better than that,
No,
when
yeah,
your
she always
when your family feels proud of you, that's got to be one of the best feelings.
she always says the right things to say. She's way smarter than me, way prettier than me too.
Now, you've met criminals that have more honesty than some cops do. What made you question what's really good and what's really bad?
I question that right from the get go. I remember sensing this resentment that a majority of cops have towards the people. I remember one of my heroes is Frank Serpico, and I read one time that he noticed that when he started too. Like, you guys don't like these people, and I noticed that same thing, and it was very very telling to me. And I just wanted to do my best to like never be like that because I got this job because I cherish people, no matter what, no matter what. I just had a conversation just yesterday. Had a half-hour conversation with a guy who was wrongfully imprisoned for 20 years. And it was one of the most honest and cool stories I'd ever heard. And he's telling me I'm in uniform and he's telling me this whole story. Just a wonderful dude. Hugged him, shook his hand. I admire. He's got more strength than probably most cops I've ever met.
What's one mistake that still haunts you, and what did it teach you about being human first and cop second?
Let me see. I'm not sure about the cop part of that. I think the mistake that haunts me the most is obviously the not being there for Tyree the way that I thought I should have. I was too wrapped up in my job at the time. I should have checked in more on him. I was too worried about too engulfed in my detective work at the time. So that's probably one of my biggest regrets in life.
Now, would you say that's probably more of a moment in your career that forced you to look at yourself differently?
Definitely. It made me reprioritize everything. It taught me what not to worry about, the little things, and what to cherish and hold close.
Now, how do you forgive yourself when the world expects you, not expects you, but expects perfection from a man who bleeds just like everyone else?
How do I forgive myself, you said?
Yes.
I go to Queen T. Um, and just I really forgiving yourself is to me is all about repentance, is admitting mistakes, and then kind of taking what's the darkness and bringing it into light, admitting it and owning up that I'm just a man and I do make mistakes, but I'm gonna learn from this one and move past it.
Talking about that redemption, what does it look like for you? And do you feel like you've hit it yet?
I feel like I'm getting close to hitting it. What it looks like to me is correcting wrongs that you've done. The first thing that comes to my mind is mistakes I made as a father, mistakes I made as a husband. Um, And again, it all comes back to repentance and being vulnerable, which I'm learning is the new courage, and just speaking it out loud.
So now I kind of move into your time as a fighter. You came from the ring to the streets. How different is fighting a man than from fighting your own mind?
Fighting a man is easy, um, because it's only 3 minutes at a time, and then you get to rest, and it's really short. We used to actually in amateurs, the rounds for a lot of times is 2 minutes, so it's really just a 9 minute sprint is what you're doing in an amateur fight. Whereas your mind, it's 24 hours a day. It never stops. The brain is something that I've never been able to figure out and never will be able to figure out. You just you gotta adjust, and you gotta. It's a lot of it is trial and error.
When everything collapses, it's 3 a.m. and your thoughts just won't shut off. And I feel like I know the answer to this already, but I'm going to ask you the question anyway. What anchors you?
God, Queen T, and my babies in that order.
What would you say one of your daily rituals or disciplines are that keeps you sharp, grounded, and sane?
Sharp, grounded, and sane. Daily ritual, when I'm alone in the mornings, is I pray. But as on a practical side, I've found that intermittent fasting. I don't eat till noon every day. I found that makes me sharper. It's made me stronger. I would recommend it to anyone. It keeps me hydrated. But that's really what keeps me going. Those two things, spiritually and mentally, and I'm sorry, spiritually and physically.
90% of the time, I'll fast until dinner. So the
Oh,
only meal
really?
so the only meal I eat is dinner, and then I fast until the next day's dinner usually. Sometimes it doesn't always work and I have to get some breakfast in, but for the most part I eat about one meal a day.
Man, see, it does wonders for your body. I
Mhm.
didn't discover this until I met a buddy of mine who I used to work with. He was a UFC fighter. I mean, he was on a couple of pay-per-views. He's a former lightweight champion of the world. He swore by it, and he's the one who got me into doing it. So I do the 16-8 most of the days, and then I'll try to throw a 24 in there. So yeah,
Yeah,
I found it just keeps me sharp.
I agree. And then so like for my dinner, like it'll be a very big dinner.
Hmm.
Carbs, protein, and vegetables in there, and I'm usually good until till the next day.
Yeah, you might have me trying that one. I've thought about that, doing that one. I guess that would be like a 23-1.
Yeah. Um, and there's some days, especially like when I work, where then at that point, like if I can, I'm just so much on the go that I'll have 2 to 3 meals on the days that I work. But
Mhm.
on a normal day when I'm just at home, um, with my schedule, it's I don't eat until dinner.
It's crazy when you put food out of your mind, and it's something spiritual about it too. It really is. I feel it's almost like the food is when I eat, the food is slowing me down.
If toughness and empathy were in a fist fight in your mind, which one would win?
Whew, that's a close one. I would say empathy gets you farther. I've learned that it's gotten me so far in my profession, especially just being empathy and validating other people's feelings, which is something the Queen T has taught me a lot about. But doesn't just go for your spouse; it goes for anyone on the street. If you validate how they feel and show them empathy, everything else, 99.9% of the time, it falls in line.
Yeah, and it goes back to the old saying, you get more with sugar than you do shit.
Yes. That is the truth, and it's done me wonders. It's kept me out of so many altercations or in the police work than I can even like. I can count on one hand the times I've even had to raise my voice in this profession because you just be empathetic and understand. Even when you have to arrest somebody, it's like, brother, I got to take you in. I'm going to be honest with you. But I'm going to do it respectfully. And so can you turn around, put your hands behind your back? If you do it like that, empathetically, I'm telling you, you stay out of so many. Whereas the RoboCop, you do as I say because I said so. Like that doesn't get you anywhere. Get you in
Yeah.
fights.
It's the verbal judo that
Yeah.
gets you into places and it gets you out of places.
Mm-hmm. And it starts with just how you the way that you walk up to a call. You can walk up gruff, RoboCop type, or you can just walk in. Hey, how you doing, man? I'm Matt. This is why we're here. This is what's going on. It's night and day.
You've been through hell. What would you say that your definition of peace is now?
My definition of peace will be all the kids are in bed. My wife has me watching some feminine TV show that I always have to watch. But I'm next to her and the day's done. And I know, like I always say in a figurative way, I always say, okay, the dishes are done. And that just means everything's good in the house. Peacefulness is when I see that Queen T has fallen asleep. I get up every single night about 10:30. I check all the doors. I open all my girls' doors just to protect her and me, make sure they're good. Even though I know they are, I just give them a quick peek just so I know. And then I go back and I lay down. That's the most peaceful time of my day.
See, I'm right there with you. When everything's said and done and we're going to bed, I go check all the doors, even though I know that I locked them all before.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I check on my son and then, head to bed.
Yeah,
So,
that's exactly my routine every
yep.
night. I'm going to do that in just in a little short bit here.
I know that feeling 100%.
Yeah, why is that just the instinct in us, the protector instinct? You think?
I would say, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's like second nature. And, it's the same way with cops and security professionals. It's just, I think that's ingrained into us. And,
The,
all of our training, that's what, we're like, okay, we got to just check the boxes, make sure everything's good.
all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted.
What would you say is a moment that reminded you that there's still good out there?
Just yesterday, um, one of the most notorious heroin addicted prostitutes in our city. She was actually it's crazy because she was my very first heroin arrest ever. Heroin booms exploded around Chicagoland in about 15 years ago. Until then, my city was all crack. Then it turned into heroin. So she was my very first heroin arrest. And I ended up chasing her around. She was very notorious in my city. Well, what ended up happening is she found out years later that I ran a couple nonprofits and she got a hold of me. And after about 6 attempts at rehab and getting her in detox and stuff, she finally got it right. I just got a message from her yesterday. She's coming to see me next week. But she's fabulous. But it reminds me that all of this struggle, even with her, the up and down, the back and forth, there's still hope in this world.
What's one truth about the job that no academy has ever told you or could prepare you for?
That silence, that it's like the mental part of it. I compare it to the Wheel of Fortune, where you spin the wheel and you just don't know where it's going to stop on something. That's how your brain is when it comes to being in a police in a busy city. Any time of day, that wheel is always spinning and it'll just boom, land on a memory. And you won't know where this came from, why you're even thinking of that, but it hits you. And it could be any time of day. It's just like this constant wheel that's going around in my head that nobody really told me about. And they can't describe it because everyone is different. Everything hits everybody a different way. But that wheel that spins all the time is what they should, nobody could have prepared me for.
If you could spend a day in the life of someone that you've arrested, what do you think that you would learn?
That they're human. That there's no difference between me and them. I'm no better than them. I make mistakes too. I make mistakes just like them. Theirs just happened to fall on the criminal side and had to be dealt with a different way. But I have transgressions myself, so I can't think I'm better than anyone.
And if you weren't wearing the badge tomorrow, who would Matt Thornton be, and would you still fight the same way that you do now?
I would be the same guy. I would still fight. I will. I am gonna still fight. The only difference would be that maybe I can take it a little bit farther. Being that I have a goal to retire as a super outspoken cop who's never had any sustained um, complaints against him, who's never hurt anybody, never violated a right. So I think that's just going to motivate me more to just keep on with my message.
So now a rookie comes to you and says, "How do I do this job and still keep my soul?" What is your most raw, unfiltered answer?
People first, everybody, not just the ones you like, everybody, the public first, Constitution right next to it. Keep those two things and you're going to do just fine. And don't break them ever.
I love that. Well, Matt, thank you for your time. Where can everyone find you on social media?
I am at Detective Matt Thornton on TikTok, on Instagram, and on YouTube. You can find me. You can get my emails off there. If anyone needs any personal questions, just inbox me, hit me up. I'm very, very accessible. I try to get to all my messages. It's hard, but I get a ton of them. But I really appreciate you having me on here, brother. This was fabulous.
Well, I appreciate you and I appreciate your time. And I was so glad that my message actually went through and you were able to see it and, accepted it. So
I love it. I love it, brother.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Have a good night.